It's the Sean Widmer Podcast. It's a journal by someone that just really doesn't like to write.
It's time to record the podcast, and it has been a week. Judging by those of you who follow the podcast on a regular basis and look for the 3 episodes a week. You didn't get 3 this week. It's been a weird week. It compiled in a wild day. Today I'm recording this late Thursday night. Crazy day today. We're going to touch on that. A 26-year streak came to an end today. So we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about the fact the Seahawks made the Super Bowl. That's been on my mind all week. Kelly actually texted me from Kelly's What Are You Into? And she was like, I need to read. Let me read the message exactly, because I feel like this is a fair thing to read. Let's see here. She said, "We are going to the Super Bowl. Where's the pod about that?" And you're right. I meant to do one that's just solely on that. And this week has been crazy. We'll get into that. We'll get into the streak that ended after 26 years today. And then at the end of the podcast, it's just going to go off the rails. We're going to dive into my brain at the end of the podcast on a topic I wrote down in my notes. I looked at them before I hit record. In 2015, the podcast notes in 2015, this is on there. I also saw another topic on there from that long ago that was really funny. So we'll get into that. Thanks for checking out the Sean Widmer Podcast. Okay, so this week has been crazy because Lexington got hit with an ice storm, and it just dumped last weekend about 2 to 3 inches of solid ice, and they do not have the infrastructure to get the ice off the ground in a timely manner, or they just don't have the right system in place. It's like no one's taught them maybe how to get out ahead of things as opposed to after things. Hang on, I got to adjust this camera a little bit. I don't know, maybe that's a little bit better. And so it just iced. So what that has meant was first couple days of this week, no one was going into my work. It just was not safe to drive in Lexington. And then my kids' schools have been canceled the entire week. So it's been a wild week of the child care couldn't get to the house because of the ice, so they couldn't drive here. So no child care. My wife working, I'm working. We're trying to work with other people who could come in and help and just try to make it all happen this week. So it's been a bit of a crazy whirlwind of a week, especially the first couple days when everything was really, really shut down and people couldn't move around. The second half of the week's been a lot better in terms of that, but it's just been a wild week. So cooped up at home a lot, doing stuff at home. It's been great. It's been fun. I like being cooped up at home, so that part's been kind of enjoyable. But it's just been different, been weird. I didn't record podcasts. We spent a lot of time late at night hanging out and watching shows, and my wife and I just got some time to catch up and hang out and have a fun week. So that part was nice. So that's why I didn't get a podcast, to spend the time with my wife and my kids, which I think is extremely valuable. Now, should have probably put a podcast up after the Seahawks won. I stayed up on Sunday night until, they won Sunday night, and I was up. I was still taking phone calls at 3 a.m., which is midnight Pacific time, because I was just catching up with the Seahawks buddies on the West Coast, and we were just talking about everything. So I was exhausted on Monday. Anyways, I want to talk Seahawks, but I want to dedicate more time to it because I'm really excited about the Super Bowl. I definitely think the Seahawks are going to win. I don't think it's going to be that close of a game. I also operate under the assumption nothing is a guarantee in the NFL, and the second you start to doubt a team, they beat a team 43-8 in New York in the Super Bowl. 48. So you just can't cut anyone out at this point. You're in the Super Bowl. Both teams are in the Super Bowl, even though I think one is better. That's not a reality. Patriots are in the Super Bowl. Seahawks are in the Super Bowl. We'll talk more about it. Promise you that. Don't you dare worry. It's all I think about. This is Super Bowl. I'm excited about it. But today, a 26-year streak came to an end. A tragic end. If you are watching the video, I'm going to try to remember when I edit this to put the pictures in. After 26 years, without so much as a fender bender, a bump of someone else's bumper, I got in a car accident today. A legit, scary car accident. And I'll be real with you, I'm still not all the way like me right now. I'm still kind of rattled. This happened at 8:20 in the morning. I'm recording this at 10:45 at night, and I'm still kind of just like, I can feel it. not really myself right now. I was driving to work, 8:20, driving on a 2-lane road here. How do you do it? It's 4 lanes, but 2 each way, right? And so it's pretty main road. Man of War is what it's called, named after the famous horse. And so I'm driving to work, just minding my own business, coming up to an intersection, and a gal was going to turn left across our 2 lanes, got into the turning lane on her side. It's a flashing yellow. We have green lights, flashing yellow. The car in front of her had room to cut in front of people and make a quick turn to make the left turn. And this lady must not have been paying attention to that it was a flashing yellow, and she must have just seen the car in front of her turn and think, okay, well, the car in front of me is turning. It must be a green light. I'm turning, and just not paying attention, because there I am driving about probably 30 miles per hour next to a purple Jeep Wrangler. You know, I love myself a Jeep Wrangler. We are neck and neck going through this intersection, and I hear the purple Wrangler start honking. And I was like, I'm not in your lane. And I looked around, and I saw this car start to make the turn. And I thought, you better gas it, because I can't stop. I'm going. The only way this happens is if you hit that gas pedal right now and you rip it. And she did not. And so she turned, and the Wrangler was able to, because they were to the left, I was on the right. I was kind of boxed in. They kind of swerved a little bit, and they clipped this Kia. They clipped it, knocked their mirror, broke the Wrangler's mirror, and I think might have got the bumper and by the tire. So there was like impact 1, and then I did not just break my mirror. I went straight through the back of the Kia. I mean, my whole front end, boom, hit car. And you go from, 30 miles per hour to not 30 miles per hour real fast. And it was weird because in the moment, like, it all happened obviously very fast, but in the moment, like, I stopped, and I can think about it now. I was able to tell myself, I remember grabbing the steering wheel. I knew I was going to hit her. And I remember telling myself, just don't hit your head. Don't hit your head. That's what my brain thought. I don't know if that's a good or bad advice, whatever. And so I just remember like tightening up, grabbing the steering wheel, not locking my arms. It was like these weird things came to my head in this split second of like, don't lock your arms so they shatter or whatever. And like hold tight, like to the steering wheel, but don't lock your arms, and just brace. And I hit hard. And so I hit this car. It spins out. I go up on this icy berm on the corner. Like I said, I'm hoping that hopefully if you're watching the video, you can see the pictures of it somewhere around here of the truck and the Kia. And yeah, it was crazy. And so then I panic because I'm like, I just T-boned this car, and my brain went immediately to, I'm okay. Is the person in that car okay? So I rip my door open and sprint around, and they got out of their car, and I was like, whew. Like that was a moment of fresh air. And then people just come swarming around, right? All these other cars have seen it. People are jumping out. It's 1 degree outside. People are grabbing blankets and handing them to this lady. And it was just like, it was crazy. So the lady had a kid in her car. I don't know why I wasn't going to mention it, but that one, when I saw that she was getting the kid out, my world stopped for a bit. It's also probably why I'm just like not all the way there right now, because as a dad, you process that. The feeling she must have been feeling. You get hit, and it's like, is my kid okay? And my heart dropped. The kid. So all attention went to this kid. Kid was fine. Kid was totally fine. I mean, I couldn't have checked more with the emergency team there. They were like, yeah, kid's laughing, having a great time. We got the kid a stuffed animal. The kid's great. I was like, oh, thank the Lord. Everyone walked away healthy. That was like the number one thing. But there's still a car accident that happens, and my truck is still completely obliterated. I don't know what the condition is, if it's totaled, if it's fixable. I don't know. It's very stressful. I don't do well with that. And so that's at the shop right now. But it was another weird thing that happened. So this car that was next to me as we were both driving, I'm kind of panicking because then there's part of me, once everyone's okay, I'm panicking of like, I know I was in the right going through this intersection. And this gal, I heard her on the phone, and all I could hear her saying was like, he hit me, he hit me, he hit me. And I could keep saying hearing her say that. And I was like, oh no, I need to find somebody here who can say like, yeah, she ran a light, like blatantly. 2 people hit her. And so I'm like, kind of looking around. I'm kind of panicking. And one guy's there. He's like, yeah, dude, I saw it. So I'll stick around. Well, then the lady from the Wrangler, she came over. And at the time I hadn't really realized she had hit the car also. And so I looked over and she's like, yeah, my mirror and all this. I just got this car. And she's like, okay, well, I just want to tell you, I'm a police officer and I work for the collision department. You got to be kidding me. So you're going to go to work in a few, and your first item up for grabs is us. That's kind of wild. That's a wild start to the day. You go to work and work on your own stuff. That's kind of crazy. So that was weird. But it was, I guess, a little bit comforting. And she had some tips for me in the moment where like I was feeling certain things and like trying to like figure out what to do. She's like, she led me on a good path of like, here's how you need to approach this. Here's what's going to happen. You just stay tight. Sit tight. We got, and so everything happened. But I'm telling you what, got in my first car accident today. It rocked my world. I did go to a chiropractor this afternoon, and just to get checked because I was like, my back is very tight, my neck is very tight, and when you're at the scene, the paramedics are coming up. They're like, "Are you okay?" And I'm sitting there looking at a mom and her kid, and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm standing around, walking around." Everyone needs to be with that child. Like every person around needs to be with the kid involved. Okay. Because that's the kid. I'm an old man. Everyone else is older adults. That's kid. Go to the kid. Like let's super serve the kid no matter what. And I was feeling okay. Then I kind of realized maybe it was a little adrenaline. And as the day went on, I was like, ooh, my back is tight. So I went and got that checked out. The guy at the chiropractor guy was like, yeah, dude, you are tight because you tensed up all your muscles really, really tight. And so he gave me a bunch of exercises to do throughout the day and like to keep things loose and like advice. So I was very thankful, very, very thankful about how the outcome for bodies went with that. But it was just a crazy day. Totally crazy day. And then there's some work stuff that came up. So I'm like trying to work, but like my brain's like not really there. And so it was just weird. It was a weird, wild day. And now I have a vehicle to drive around. So that's really nice. Got to try to get a rental, I guess. I don't do well in these kind of situations. They're adult ones. So there you go. That 26-year streak. Busted. And I wish it could have just been a fender bender. Wish it could have just been a fender bender and not the level that this one was. One of the crazy things was that I get in this accident. I'm kind of in a blur of like what's going on. I don't know what to do. I'm like, who should I call? I call my wife. I called her right at the worst time because all the kids are like getting ready for stuff. So she missed it at first, called me back. But in between that time, one of my coworkers who I just love, he's the man, Ian. I look up and he's driving to work because he lives by me. He's driving to work and sees it and pulled over and like got out and stood with me for a little bit. And I can't express like the amount of comfort that was in a moment where I'm just trying to figure out what's going on. And like, oh my gosh, this day has changed the trajectory of the next little while in my life. And I'm trying to get a grip on it. And like, what do I need to do? And just to have someone there who is calming and it's just like, dude, are you all right? Are you all right? You good? What can I do? It was huge. So thank you. Shout out Ian for, that was a big deal. Very big deal. Okay. Let's get weird. Let's get really weird here.
Kelly's, what are you into?
All right. Hang on. Hold. Why is that not working? Okay. Sorry. I had to check something. I got a text. So this is something, and it came back up today. This is actually why it wasn't like I was just looking through my notes in my podcast document on Google Docs. It has notes for ideas dating back to like 2013 or 2012, I think it is. I wasn't just thumbing through there looking for stuff, but I went somewhere today after the car accident, and I was like, oh man, every time I come into one of these places, this is how it goes for me. So this is a weird story. Let's just dive into how my brain goes. I wrote it down in 2015 and never talked about it because I was embarrassed about it. I probably still am. It's kind of pathetic. It's kind of weird. It's kind of emotional like me. It's silly, but it has been a constant in my life since we moved to the United States of America and I started going into these kind of stores. It's something that happens every time I go in by myself to a thrift store, whether that is like Goodwill or in Spokane Value Village or in Spokane Union Gospel Mission. Here it was Goodwill. Anytime I go into a store, the same thing has happened my entire life. And it is weird and wild, and a lot of times it ends with me having tears inside of Goodwill, and it's strange. But it happened today. Again, I had it written down in my notes to talk about and let it sit. Never even talked about it on the radio. Let it sit for this long because I think I was embarrassed. By the way, also in my notes from 2015, I had discuss the power and importance of Totino's Party Pizza. I probably did that and forgot to cross it out. But yeah, discuss the power and importance of Totino's Party Pizza. Nobody likes a Totino's Party Pizza like your boy here. I love them. I lived on them for years. Like it wasn't, some people lived on them through college. I lived on them through my 20s, my late teens into 20. It was over a decade. It was just living on Totino's. But that's not what this is about. I'm not going to that part. So when I go into Goodwill, this happens every time. I will find myself looking for something. A lot of times I go look at books. And then I'll look at board games, whether look at board games for an actual game. A lot of times I'll look at board games because I want the tokens and the dice. So if you like kids' board games, a lot of times kids will rip through board game pieces and they'll break them and stuff. So I like to try to find old games with old game tokens that are hard to break, like those sorry tokens. And I'll buy those games for super cheap and gut them and have a little collection of the innards of games because I love games. So I will do that from time to time. I'll also look at t-shirts a lot of times, see if there's anything cool in the t-shirt world, and that's what I do. But then I will find myself going towards the section that has the kitchenware and maybe some house items, okay? And this is how my brain goes. I will walk into that area, and like today, for instance, I look at the glasses, okay? And there are a bunch of glasses sitting on the shelf, and it's $1.50. Cool crystal looking wine glass that might be plastic, but I don't know. And it's like $1.48, $1.49. And I look at it sitting there on the shelf and there'll be matching pair of them. And they're just at Goodwill right now. And they're up for grabs for the next person who's going to grab them. And I look at them and I think, man, I wish I knew their story. I wish I knew their story. I wish I knew the story of that frying pan that's right there. I wish I knew their story. Where did they come from? How did they end up here? Right? Those wine glasses. They're just here now on the shelf. At one point, were they celebrating something? Were they celebrating someone announcing a childbirth? Someone who got a promotion? Like a Christmas with the whole family gathered around and everyone is smiling and having a big time, and now they're on the shelf at Goodwill. What's their story? Was it sad? Or were those, was these glasses that were used when someone was going through a tough time and they had these glasses and they had maybe one of them and that's all they had. And they survived a tough time with them. And they saw sadness and they saw tears and they saw emotions, and it was the glass in this person's house. And they got rid of it now. And it sits on the shelf ready for its next home. And I will get deep in that world at a Goodwill. And I do it every time. And I get very sad. And I get very happy. And I tell myself stories of all these things. Was that frying pan? The frying pan that went through a house like Preston and mine, where it was just a couple knucklehead guys who don't know what the rest of their life holds, and every single thing they know is happening for these couple years inside the walls of this house with this one frying pan that's going to cook eggs and steak, and it's going to make the smoke alarm go off all the time, and it's going to see things, and it's going to watch some boys try to grow into men, but do it weirdly, and now it's here at Goodwill. And the next person is going to have it. They're not going to know the stories that went into that pan, but that pan has lived a life. That's what I do. That's my Goodwill. And so I'm in Goodwill today. I'm looking at the glasses. I'm looking at a mug. There's a cool mug. It looked really cool and it looked used. I thought, was this a grandpa's? Right? Was this grandpa's coffee mug? And grandpa's stuff, because of whatever reason, got sent off because grandpa's not around anymore. Is this grandpa's mug? And no one grabbed it. They're like, we don't want the old mugs. But this was grandpa's mug that sat through Christmases watching grandkids that were 0 and are now in their 30s. And it was all, the mug he sat and would hold on Christmas morning and drink his coffee while he sat in silence. Is that this mug? And that's what my brain does, man. And it happened today. And I was already a wreck from getting in a wreck. And then I'm going through this and I was like, let me just have some, I just need a moment for some tears. I just need a moment. I just need a moment for some tears. So there's my day. That's my Goodwill thing. That's what I do when I go to Goodwill. So as much as I love Goodwill and I love the idea of going and finding these game pieces or looking for a book and seeing like if there's good old books that I would like to read, finding a fun t-shirt, the weird, cool t-shirt that you can find on occasion on a score at a thrift store, Macklemore style. I love all that stuff, but I will get drawn every time to the weird chair that's sitting there for $12 that has a story that is way more valuable than the $12 you're going to pay for it. All right, that's the podcast for today. Up and lifting. The Seahawks are going to the Super Bowl. Jackson Smith-Njigba, put him in the Ring of Honor. He is the best Seattle Seahawks wide receiver of all time. Sam Darnold, you are the man. I love you very much. Cooper Kupp, great to see you back, baby. And that defense, second best Seattle Seahawks defense of all time, is primed up and ready to win a Super Bowl in just over a week. Oh, I cannot wait. All right, I will promise you this. There was only one podcast this week. It was this Friday one. I will be recording a podcast this weekend, and we will be getting at least one podcast up over the weekend. It will probably be heavily Seahawks related, but I want to get something a little more positive. But that's what today was. The wreck happened. Goodwill happened.